This was the Jacobs home. This is where it occurred. 28 years ago, right here in the quiet neighborhood. It was very gloomy outside, and we arrived, and it was just very shocking on what we were going to find. This was a crime that was thought out, planned, and then executed.
It was a week ago today that the bodies of Michael and Marcy Jacobs and their 9-year-old daughter Jennifer were found in their Robertson Way home. All three had been shot to death.
Eventually, when I went back to school, I remember the class was very, very quiet, just dead quiet. And then we had it was like a memorial for her at school. They picked Jenny's closest friends. Each of us had a letter for her name. And we got up in front of the school and we played her favorite song, which was The Rainbow Connection. And we all sang it.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side?
So I think that was really healing for me and for her friends in the class and the school to sort of say goodbye to her.
My sister had died probably 4 or 5 years before that, so had been to one funeral of a sibling, and this one was so much different because of the trauma associated with the death. So it was difficult, just very difficult.
The question I had in the beginning was, why would you kill this child? And it only leads to one answer. She knew who the perpetrator was. Putting together what was going on, the details of this crime, it just started to open up more and more. And we found that Ricky McCarthy, of course, was an associate of theirs.
We learned that they were childhood friends. Those two and Marcy, they all grew up in that same area of Sacramento.
Ricky was just a very nice kid, nice guy, blonde, cute as heck. Played Fruit Ridge Little League baseball, came from a great family.
Ricky was always a sweetheart, generous guy throughout his life. Would give you the shirt off his back.
So we were just all like brothers and sisters.
I'm Melissa Sanchez, and I am Richard McCarthy's daughter. My dad was very loving and very giving, but he wasn't around all the time. He wasn't that kind of father that I saw every day. I did miss him, and I remember he would make promises to come and visit. And I would be right there at that window waiting. I mean, I'm up till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night sometimes. But he didn't usually show on the times he said. But he always showed. It just usually wasn't when he said. The song that I listen to over and over again when I'm thinking about him is a song called Criolla.
Criolla. My soul.
It just talks about family and being together, and he literally stopped me and made me listen to this song and said, listen to the words and they're important. I think he wanted very much to believe in what the song was saying. So Mickey had been around since I was way little. So I remember going to the house and playing with Jennifer, and I remember that she, because I was just a few years older, I felt like she was like that little sister that's like, come on, play with me, do this. And she had dolls that she liked to play with, and I remember her freckles on her face.
McCarthy was involved in some illegal activities.
He told me one day that he felt like he was working too hard for not enough money. I think that he thought about having his own business and working for himself more than he wanted to be in the corporate world. That eventually entailed manufacturing drugs, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there was some nefarious people and associates that were around him, and he might not have felt comfortable keeping his items at the house.
It was kind of a chance meeting. I had been living in the Northeast, and I came home to visit my mother. And all of a sudden, at the intersection by the park, there's Ricky driving on his motorcycle. So I honked, we pulled over, we hugged. He said, hey, Bobby, why don't we go over and see Mickey? I was like, oh, that'd be great. I can't recall how long it's been since I've seen Mickey and Marcy. So we went over there. As we walked in, Mickey was playing video games with Jenny, and she was just smiling from ear to ear. And they were having a ball together. After a little while, they said, hey, Bobby, Ricky said, let's go out to the garage. So we got out there, and we stood in there for a few minutes, and you couldn't help but notice there was a safe. After a little bit, he opened up the safe, and I have to say that once that door swung open, I felt kind of uncomfortable. There was jewelry and exotic knives, some exotic guns, and there was money in there, quite a bit, and bags of illegal stuff.
I really don't think that Mickey knew the magnitude of saying yes to holding something for Ricky. I don't think they realized the danger that could have been involved. I wouldn't have done it. I had raising 2 children. You couldn't keep something at my house of value like that. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. So I don't know why they said yes.
He would not knowingly have given that safe to Mickey and Marcy. Would never knowingly thinking something was going to ever befall them.
Investigators are now looking for this man, 31-year-old Richie McCarthy.
We need to talk to him to possibly gain more insight as to a possible motive or what happened there at the Jacobs residence.
Dear Melissa, I'm sorry that I have to write to you like this. I wish I could give you a big hug right now. The last time I saw my father was when he was in the Branch County Jail. I was made to go visit him. I was so angry. I was so angry with him because he was in jail. The parents not supposed to be in jail, so I was angry. Went to visit and I wouldn't talk to him. And when he hugged me, I wouldn't hug him back. I was so angry. And it was the last time that I saw him or spoke with him.
Ricky made choices that were devastating to his family, but it was Ricky's choice. You know, he knew what he was doing. And I don't think Marcy and Mickey understood the magnitude.
I just happened to be in Sacramento the night it happened. All of a sudden they come up with a teaser for the news and said massacre in William Park.
Reflects the work of some real monsters.
Phone started ringing. We knew it wasn't good. You know, I started connecting the dots and figured that somebody must have came for that safe. Possibly. And at the same time, we didn't know where Ricky was. So nobody really knew what was going on right then.
Police say their interest in McCarthy does not necessarily mean that he's a suspect in this case. In fact, because he's been missing for so long, they now fear that he might be another victim.
Did you ever find McCarthy?
We never found him. Don't know where he is. The information we had is that he was taken at gunpoint and murdered. And where his body is today, we don't have any idea.
We worked just as hard to figure out what happened to him as who did this to the Jacobs, because if we knew what happened to Ricky, it would lead us directly to the people responsible for the Jacobs murders.
We know now, because what Ricky McCarthy was involved in, that he would have money, and there were people that wanted it, and they were going to get it at whatever cost.
I make no excuses for bad behavior, so I don't think that whatever my father was involved in, I don't think he deserved to die. The Jacobs definitely did not deserve to die, but there were consequences for those actions, and I will never forget that. As long as I live, I will never forget that.
And when I look back on it, I think, you know, we all made poor choices. Sometimes when we were children or young adults, we didn't ask ourselves, is it worth the risk?
We all think we're going to live forever, and we all push ourselves to the max as far as we can. They just figured they could do this and nothing was going to change in their life, and this would be okay, and it wasn't.
Because of what happened, my family doesn't discuss him with me. They just don't discuss him. And so it's almost as though he's never existed. There is more to him than just this friend that left something that people were killed for. I mean, there's more to him than that.
What people went over that night to see the Jacobs, I couldn't tell you that, with the exception of probably one person who was known to the Jacobs and befriended them. And he was also Ricky McCarthy's associate. So now I have a person that's connected to all the people involved. And that was very critical, making that connection.